You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV.
Woo! We're raising the roof. We're raising the. I'm like totally showing people what my age is right now by doing that dance move. Hi guys, welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV. This is the Game of Crowns, episode number 5. It's called Unladylike Behavior, and boy was it. I'm Susie Castillo, your host, and my co-host is
Shandi Finnessey. And we have a special guest today. Now, first of all, we're wearing our sashes today.
That's right.
It's our Miss USA sashes. And we have the official Miss USA crown, the tiara, actually, that Susie and I both wore. Yep. And our special guest is another Miss USA. I actually judged her when she won in 2009. So welcome, Kristen Dalton.
Kristen. I love it. And this morning I was like, it's gonna be 3 Miss USAs on AFTERBUZZ
So
TV.
we are bringing our sashes.
So we brought our bling, you know what I'm saying?
I was excited to pull it out.
I mean, how often we never wear? I was putting this on. And I'm like, I haven't worn this. I know. I said to Shandi, I'm like, I haven't worn this since I was Miss USA 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
I wear mine on
She
Thursdays.
goes, I wear mine every Thursday. I was like,
and I'll order pizza and be like, oh,
open the door.
Yeah, wearing just the sash.
Oh, God.
I'm joking.
Well, let's get right into it. Unladylike behavior.
Yes, and you got to join us for the episode and watch. Overall, what are your thoughts? Let's just jump in with a summary.
You know, while I was watching, there's definitely a lot of moments, a lot of jaw-dropping moments where I was just like, what? How could she say that? Oh my gosh, she was just pretending like she was her friend.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it just makes me sad, and I hate seeing like women treat each other like that, because I think it starts as young girls, where girls bully each other, and I think that's where a lot of our issues even start. It's not from guys necessarily, like everyone thinks. It's like girl on girl bullying and girl on girl hate, and it's like, man, it's still happening as adult women.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of disheartening.
Sure. The
You're
first time I watched it,
right.
I thought I was going to see something totally different. And I was done watching it, and I looked at Shandi, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to say about this show.
I know.
You know, because as a former pageant girl,
You want to like stand up for pageants. You want to be like, it's not like what you think.
Right.
And so then when
haven't you been doing that ever since you started pageants? I feel like I've been trying to break that stereotype.
100%.
And I feel like I've done it successfully with some people. Like, I can't tell you how many times somebody's been like, oh,
I didn't expect a Miss USA to be like this.
I would have never thought that you were a pageant girl.
Yeah, so down to earth. You know, and what we commented on last week was that there's been enough of the pageant shows, of the toddlers and tiaras and the Honey Boo Boo and all
the drama.
The drama and the gossiping and backstabbing, and you want that one show, the reality show, to be a legitimate, you know, where it shows a real pageant girl, how she strives to that crown, and when she gets it, and how many lives she touches, and how hard she works. And yes, there's still drama. I mean, there's always drama when you involve.
There's enough drama already. Like, you don't have to create it. You don't have to. You don't have to fake it or write it out or script it, because there's enough drama within yourself.
Yeah.
That could be taped.
So true.
Well, speaking of drama, let's get right into it. So, in the beginning, we did see a lunch happen between Shelley and Vanessa. And in the lunch, first of all, before we get into the thick of things, to start on a comedic moment, I thought it was hilarious that everything Shelley ordered, Vanessa was like, oh, I'll have the same. And then and her order was so like, a dash of this and a dip of this, and it was like so specific.
Precise.
Yes.
That's how I order.
And I'll have the same.
Yeah.
I would be like, girl, I know Shelley looks amazing, but you know, you can't necessarily get that way by eating like her. But anyway, so moving on, Shelley decided that she wanted to plan a fun girls' time in Newport a weekend, but because of that, she really encourages Vanessa to go and talk to Lynne.
Right.
So and
the whole throwing her under the bus.
Yes, and
with
I think
Leha.
we can all agree that Shelley is just fun to watch.
I love Shelley. Like, I want to be friends with her.
Yes. She's kind of like the voice of reason, right?
Totally.
The normal one.
So sweet, like so optimistic. She just wants everyone to get
funny.
along.
And then when she curses, and you're like, it's just
so
funny.
cute.
It's funny. It's like eating something sweet and getting that little salt in there. You're like, it's just a
I
good
love that
combo.
metaphor. Yeah.
Well, so she does. They end up sitting down, Lynne and Vanassa, and the one thing that actually Susie commented on when we saw it, and then it came back into play later on, was how Lynne keeps saying, about how you rode off into the sunset and smoked a peace pipe together. And Vanessa is Native American.
Right. Which she later said at Shelley's house that she was offended by that because she kept repeating it, and we were like,
Yeah.
But what do you guys think? So when they met, obviously it got heated, Vanassa and Lynne. But then Lynne, right before she left, throws out the whole lawyer thing. Why have my lawyers involved?
yeah.
Like, what?
Well, first of all, I didn't understand where that came from, and then second of all, I just thought it was really funny that she like unzipped her jacket.
And took her scarf off.
I was like,
threw it
wait,
down.
what?
Like, she was ready to brawl, I thought.
I was like,
and nothing happened.
yeah, I was like, I think it's cold, but maybe she's getting heated. It was pretty funny.
She was hot. She was hot.
It was definitely dramatic.
It was weird, and I think as we were watching it, Kristen, you and I looked at each other, and you said exactly what I was thinking. You were like, how does she not get it? Like what Vanassa was talking about. Like she wasn't trying to get into her business with Leha. She was trying, which Lynne kept saying, it's none of your business, let us handle it. And she was like, no, that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm asking you why, as somebody who I thought was my friend, why did you throw me under the bus?
Right.
You know, and that's been my thing with Lynne. And I really,
Lynne
Lynne, if you're
almost-
watching,
Lynne
we would
almost-
love for you to call in and be our
please.
guest
We
sometime.
want you here, or fly here.
Only because, if you can fly out here,
No,
girl.
but muzzle. We'll have you on 2 shows.
Yes. I just thought for a few episodes now, Lynne, you know, we've been seeing this unfold, and Lynne hasn't stepped up,
Fessed
hasn't
up.
taken,
She
hasn't
almost
been
did,
accountable.
though. She almost did, though, because she said, why? Why did you? She said, I don't. Maybe because I was angry and I was getting defensive.
Just apologize.
She started
That's
to,
all people want to hear
and
you
then she got
say.
defensive again. Well,
Yes.
and then unfortunately, I know Lynne keeps getting the bad rap, but it's comments that she makes that keeps giving her the bad rap. Like she made a comment and said if Vanessa was to fall overboard on the boat, that the collagen in her lips, all that collagen, that she'd probably float.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you make a comment like that that's so insulting and mean and just ugly, and then expect people to not see you as such?
Right.
I mean, you have to, it says, you obviously are embarking on this whole other avenue and career and really focusing on your faith and Christianity. It says in the Bible about how the tongue is your rudder and directs your path. And, you know, everything that she's saying is just directing that path that
Right.
people are perceiving her as.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, like, why would you want to tell someone who's supposed to be your best friend negative things that's even being said about you? Because for me, if someone starts saying something, telling me someone was talking about you, I'm like, I don't even want to know. Because like you said, what you say has a lot of power, and the words that you hear about you have a lot of power, and they carry a lot of weight. So I don't even think there's a need to tell someone, oh, there's bad things that are being said about you, because that's hurtful, regardless of if you said it or not.
Right.
You know.
Hey, Kristen, can you rotate your mic for a second? Is that better? Justin? Okay, cool. Thanks. Sorry. He had a little sign over there.
Well, so then...
Wait, can we
Yes.
real quick to my last comment about that, Lynne and Vanassa's little discussion by the water there. I think Vanassa said it best. She said Lynne is always playing the victim card, and that's exactly what I've been seeing the last few episodes. Is just Lynne not taking accountability
Right.
for the hurt that she's created in other. Yes, other people said bad things and created hurt in other people's lives, but at the end of the day, you can't just be like, well, you said this and you said
Right.
that and you said this. You just worry about yourself
Right.
and come clean to your friend.
That's true, but
100%.
don't you also find that a lot of times people who do play the victim role, it's because somewhere in their past they have so much hurt And we obviously see with
clearly.
Lynne, she has a ton of hurt because her father passed away. And
Right.
who knows what else has gone on in her life. She does mention later on about all the tragedy that she's had and that just a day above ground she considers a blessing. I thought it was a little tacky that she said it to Vanassa, who's dealt with breast cancer, and she could have, you know, she looked death in the eye for, you know, while she was dealing with that illness.
So true. Kristen, you do ministry work and you've traveled all over. If you were to give these women some advice, what would you give them as advice to mend their relationship?
Well, I think that a lot of times people try to lift themselves up by bringing other people down, but that's never effective. That's never beneficial. And I think the best way to encourage yourself or to empower yourself is to empower others. Because when you're spreading love and when you're spreading encouragement, it's only going to come back to you. And I think that kind of friendship is the kind of friendship that's long lasting, and that's the kind of confidence that's long lasting. So I would just say, like, take responsibility for your actions and stop being so defensive and just let your guard down and say that you're sorry. I think that people like try to defend themselves when they don't want to. You know, they're scared to admit that they're wrong, and they're scared to admit, like, you know, I wasn't the best person, because they always want to be right because they've been so hurt, like you're saying. But I think that the moment that you let your guard down and you're like, you know what, I'm sorry, that was so wrong, it's crazy how quickly a conflict can dissolve.
Sure.
That's very true. And I think that, you know, there is some hurt going on in her, and that's why perhaps she plays the victim role, and that's why whenever she feels like dirt is on her, it's easier to fling dirt at other people to make them dirtier.
Right.
And that way I look cleaner by comparison. But I hope that, I know that the show is winding down to its last episodes, but I really hope that we're able to see a transformation in Lynne.
Yeah.
And what I said on the first episode, I think it was, that a lot of times when we get confronted with over and over people telling you certain behavior, sometimes it takes crashing into that wall before some sense is knocked into you, and you really take a moment to examine your life and say, what am I doing that I keep hearing this? Maybe I don't believe it, but if I've heard it this many times from this many people, maybe I need to push pause in my life and take a look.
Yeah. Right.
And then only get your life better. So enough Dr. Phil. Back on to AfterBuzz. So then they go on the boat. Dun, dun, dun. And I have to say, it became so juvenile, where the girls were separated in these three groups. And you had Shelley, Leha, and Vanassa on one side, who seemed to be the more mature, sane girls. And then you had Susanna, Lorianne, and Lynne. And I know a lot of it is the editing, but the way that those girls were, like, laughing so loud at stuff, and just, it reminded me of being in high school when, like, the cool girls were like, we're having so much fun over here, like, ah! Yeah. And you're sitting over there, like, you know, like, I'm...
Like, what's happening?
Yeah, and it reminded me of just that Mean Girl stuff.
Totally.
Right.
Because
it's like what Kristen said earlier. It's like you would hope that kind of stuff, you grow out of it, but some people, I guess, just never do.
Yeah.
You know?
It became, and it was so apparent, you know, that on the one side of the boat with Lynne and Leha, that that Leha was hurt or upset or sad about something. So, like, I was a little bit blown away when... wait, which one is it? The one with the blue hair? Lynne? Lynne. When she said, I can't believe that they're not excited that we just won state crowns.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
That they just applied for.
Why don't
They didn't actually win them.
Why don't you ask them, like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't think that they're just, like, mean, malicious people because they're your friends.
Right.
You know, clearly she just had a phone call, some bad news just came in, and I'm pretty sure you might actually know what the news is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
if that's the real story.
And let's talk about this bad news, because so far, Lynne has been accused of saying, you know, perhaps a lie or an accusation against Nick, saying that he threatened to kill her.
Right.
And then she couldn't really defend that statement. And now apparently word has come out that, and it sounds like it's a legitimate source. It's Nick's police.
Yeah, Nick is an officer.
He's a
Nick's
police
an
officer.
officer.
Oh, wow.
So someone else, another police officer, said
You're
that
being investigated.
yeah, that a private investigator was hired to find out as much dirt and whatever they can and follow around Nick and Leha. That's scary.
That must have been what Lynne, when Lynne was having the conversation by the water with Vanassa, and she got up and stormed off and said something about her lawyers. that's probably what she was talking about.
So I'm wondering, so had she already conspired this, or is this
It sounds like it.
You know,
Doesn't it?
I mean, why? But I don't understand the goal. Like, what is she trying to
Especially,
prove?
Kristen, I don't. You haven't seen the episode, like every single one of the episodes, but like early on, it was established that Lynne and Leha were
Like best friends.
like best friends. So for her to now hire a private investigator against her best friend and her friend's, ex-best friend, I suppose, and the entire family, essentially, that's just hurtful, and it can hurt his career as an officer. And then I thought it was really interesting that right in the beginning of this episode, it kind of picks up from last week's episode where they're at the Miss New England States pageant that Vanassa won, and you see at one point Nick confronting Lynne and saying, did I or did I not threaten to kill you? Did you say that? Did I say that? And she didn't say anything. So it's like, I want homegirl to call into our show.
You know what it is?
Oh, yeah, let's find out the truth.
I want to know.
When you hire a private investigator or lawyer and you get all of your defenses together, to me, that just looks like maybe you're guilty. You know, when for example, I watch way too much Dateline. But when someone, is asked to come in and speak to the police, if they come in, they're like, absolutely, lie detector, whatever you want. Okay, good chance you're innocent. But if they're like, I need lawyers and I'm not going to take them, and when they get very defensive, it's like, what are you trying to hide?
Right.
What are you afraid of? So then...
And is being right really more important than maintaining a friendship?
Yes.
And living in peace.
Amen.
Right.
Living
Exactly.
in peace.
Because all that does is drags out the drama.
And
even
imagine
more.
how
Why don't
much
we just
stress.
all be like, you know what? My hormones were raging. I felt really embarrassed that I
Yeah.
lost the pageant or whatever it was. I'm
Right.
so sorry. Will you please forgive me?
Right.
Yes, and then you're done.
And
You're
if
so
Nick
right.
actually said that, she could say to Nick, it really hurt my feelings that you threatened my life. Obviously, you haven't killed me. I'm here.
you.
Thank you for not killing me.
Yeah.
But that really hurt my feelings when you said that. He'd probably be like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, totally.
Done. Let's go to dinner.
100%.
Let's have some spaghetti.
Yeah.
Some
But
clam
imagine-
chowder.
You don't need to hire private investigators.
We all know what
No.
it's like to live with that kind of pressure of like, oh, I said this, then I have to get out of it. And how do I? Someone's going to keep throwing mud at everyone else. And it's such a stressful way to live. And I can imagine that Lynne, probably watching every single episode, is like, she can't even breathe.
Right.
Because now, this shot probably months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And
said
so,
October.
October.
So almost a year ago.
Yeah, they were wearing jackets.
Yeah.
So imagine, she shot it and all the stress of that, but now watching it play back, it probably leaves such a bad taste in her mouth. She can't
Right.
sleep at night, I'm sure.
I know.
So it's like, I don't know. If I was her, I would just write a blog, like something, and just be like, I am sorry that I was portrayed this way. This is not my intentions.
Right.
I got caught up in everything. And you know, honestly, we have to even talk about this. It's tough, I'm sure, for someone who's never been on a reality show before, never been on TV before, now thrown into this world where cameras are in your face. And of course, you have producers being like, don't you want to say something about Kristen? Kristen did say something
Well, they'll
about
straight
you.
up feed you lines even
Yeah.
sometimes. And it gets to a point where if it's so late filming, of course you're drinking alcohol because they encourage alcohol drinking, and I'm sure that it's on set at all times.
Yeah.
So if you're tired and not giving them what they want, they'll just be like, just say this so you can be done with it.
Right. Right.
And then they do, and then they're like, oh, snap. I forgot that's going to be on national television because you
Right.
just get so caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for these girls, but
That blow up in Shelley's.
Well,
Poor
so
Shelley.
then-
Shelley gets in the
She's
car
so
in the middle.
sweet.
She's
I
trying,
love
to,
her.
she's trying to be like, peace.
Yeah.
Let's everybody love each other.
She's like, wait,
And
so
holy
it was
moly.
a bad idea?
Yeah.
So now
go on a
they
boat
all go
ride.
back to her house, to the kitchen, and that's when things really get heated. And a funny moment that we all
poop hits
cracked
the
up
fan.
at was when all this cackling is happening, and everyone's like, and the voices are getting louder, and then she says, "Okay, we're all friends here."
That was so cute. That was my favorite.
Yeah.
They were like yelling at each other. She was like, come on, we're all friends. So I was like,
no.
I don't think so.
And then you see her fiddling with the tequila bottle of like, all right, I'm gonna have to,
Yeah, she did.
I'm gonna have to go for it.
She goes, a
She
little
totally-
alcohol always helps with the situation. And they're like, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So then, yeah, it gets heated.
Yeah.
Lynne apologizes, sort of, to Vanassa at some point after like 12 shots of tequila.
But then she says in her little confessional in her interview.
Well, the interview, though,
That
was
she would-
after she wakes up with a mad hangover.
Right.
And then she
She remembers that she actually apologized to Vanassa.
And she says, if
that
I
she
was
would have
sober,
never-
I would have never apologized.
which is nuts. Come on, ladies.
Come on.
Let's
So,
do this.
I know, and
They're
it's like-
mothers. They have children. We didn't see any of their kids in this episode, Kristen, but these women have children, and it's like, what are you teaching your kids?
Not good stuff.
Well, and also it's like, okay, let's say that you apologize and you wouldn't have if you were sober. Don't admit it.
Yeah.
Like, at least
Just
you
go ahead and like
apologized.
just own it and be like, yeah, wasn't that so nice of me? Just go with it.
Just go with it. You know, you threw a little bit of baking soda on that oven fire. Like, just let it just simmer out. We don't need to keep adding more oil to it. Well, so then the storyline
Crazy.
takes a little bit of a turn because Shelley finds herself in a conflict where she's committed to 2 events. However, she did say to Vanassa much earlier that she would be there at that breast cancer walk. So she confronts Lynne and says, unfortunately, I can't be there for your wedding with your butterflies and hoopla because I promised Vanassa.
Right.
And Shelley obviously gets very upset because she was supposed to walk down the aisle
know.
with butterfly boxes.
I
No,
was
Lynne
like,
got upset.
Or yeah, I'm sorry, Lynne. Lynn
Lynne
gets
got
upset.
upset.
And she even says, well, this throws a massive curveball.
like, you
She's
can ask
gonna
somebody
have to
else.
contact the florist and
Or-
the wedding planner and
The
there's gonna be a
butterfly
whole
people.
change of events. I mean, the butterflies were the most important
They were.
part.
And
But I think that they had
she
a
lost
special.
her dad. Yes,
Yeah.
the butterflies are
Can we talk about how
think we're-
inhumane the butterflies are, by the way? Because I used to
Aw,
think
are
that
they?
was the most wonderful thing to do at a wedding. And then I found out that they get like shipped in this little box. Half of them are dead.
Right.
Because
They don't
they've
make
been,
it,
yeah,
a
because
lot
they've
of
been
them.
in this box. And then you set them free, but they've been that butterflies
And I
only live a
believe-
short time anyway. They
I
live for
know.
like 1 day.
And if I'm
cruel.
I think if I heard correctly, like they not that they freeze them, but they put them in a really cool temperature
Yeah.
because apparently it calms them down, so they don't.
Yeah.
That's awful. But
It's really inhumane.
Wow.
it is a sweet thought because what Lynne was trying to do was honor her dad who passed
Yeah.
away like a month prior to her first wedding. So now she renews her vows every year.
With some totally different theme and
But the wedding, renewing your vows is in honor of you and your husband. So I don't
Right.
understand if she's doing it for her and her husband or does she do it more
Yeah.
to honor her father?
what was the deal with the
Or
gargoyle?
just
That,
to
like,
have a party
or maybe
with the
she
new
just
dress,
wants a party.
which is fine
That
because
is
I
fine.
would totally do that if I,
Sure.
had the money.
Yeah. I don't
here.
understand the gargoyle though. That was just like
I
what?
can't wait to watch the next episode.
What?
I think it was like a very like fairy tale, ethereal theme, because
Yeah.
you had the butterflies and then the jewels and the gargoyles. So it was like you were literally in an Aesop's fable, like fairy tale.
Yeah.
Or in a padded room.
Or in a padded room. Shandi Finnessey.
Well, so the episode ends. Shelley takes her dog Cricket and walks away, saying that she needed to get away from the crazy.
I was surprised. That was like the first mean thing she said the whole episode, and it wasn't even really that mean, you know?
Well, she says a few mean things. I think.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's be honest. It's like from the
But I
beginning.
think they're funny mean
Oh,
things.
okay.
but
Though. That was the
They're, like,
first time we
cute.
saw her crack. She's
yeah.
always
Yeah.
so tough, and she removes herself, but she let it get into her, and she got too emotionally attached. I think.
well, she was. I don't think she got too emotional. How can you not get emotionally attached, and two, because she considers both these women her friends, and they're pulling her in two different directions.
That's such
you
a
know?
hard spot to be in.
It is a really tough spot to be in, and sure, it's not Lynne's first wedding, right? I mean, I don't know how many years she's been married now. I'm assuming a lot because they have children together and stuff.
Yeah.
But like,
You can tell that she takes on the role of the mediator and the pleaser.
Yeah.
And so she carries a burden, of like making sure everyone's happy. And I think it's really important to her that everyone's always happy with her.
yes.
And so when there were two people who were like disappointed in her, I think that's like her breaking point.
right,
It's like
sure.
her trigger.
Yeah. And I think that was the last, they everybody arrived the day before. The whole point of that evening was for them to kind of get along and
Reconcile.
and she was just like, oh my god, my plan her
Backfired.
plan totally backfired.
But you know what I noticed is that
and it got worse.
every
Yeah.
wedding I've ever heard of, something goes wrong. It's storming outside, or a bridesmaid drank too much, or there's always
Or the bride drank too much.
Yeah.
I went to one of those
Oh,
weddings.
I was like, don't look at me, I'm
Was
not
it
married.
was it before the ceremony? Or the reception?
Oh no, it was at the reception.
Okay.
Totally
That's
trashed.
fine.
But what my
Totally
point
trashed.
is that every wedding there's something, and so she's got to realize by now that she can't let it get to her. And if the reason she's doing it is to try to create these happy memories, and then every time something's gonna like break her down. I think rather than having wedding after wedding every year to try to make all of these repairs and new memories, like maybe she should digress and actually look at what the issue is. And it's the separation from her father, having him leave her so early, not being a part of that celebration. So what can you actually do maybe to honor your father, or to bring back or to focus on his memory?
I'm gonna high five you. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, that was a terrible high five.
Yeah, whack the. We're gonna trash the place. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, and it's sad because there's always going to be something. There's
Like,
never going to be
separate-
a perfect wedding.
And separate the events so that in your mind it's not always about, oh my God, my dad died right before my wedding.
Right.
So now I have to
Wow.
have a new wedding every single year to make it a happy event because the first one wasn't happy. You know, if she separated the
Wow.
two things.
Or even, how about this? I don't know what he
They
passed
shouldn't
from.
even be like correlated anymore.
Yes.
So she can have two, or maybe on a separate day,
Yeah.
a separate like time
Right.
of year.
Or how about this?
Right.
Weddings are expensive, especially as elaborate as she's doing them. How about maybe take that money and donate it to whatever her father passed from, whether it be
that's
a
a good
heart
idea.
attack or
That's a
an
good idea.
illness or even, I don't know, drunk drive, whatever it was. We don't know what he
Such a good
passed
idea.
from, but that's giving back to something better rather than doing something self-indulgent of, I'm going to throw this lavish party and I don't know. But Lynn, I am still rooting for you because I do believe that sometimes we have to hit really hard places in order to recognize the change that we need to make. And Oprah Winfrey said it best, and that woman is Mother Earth, I think. She said that the world, God, speaks to you in whispers, and you have to tune your ear to hear that. And if you don't, because you're so caught up in money or drama or yourself or whatever it may be, then God will throw a brick against your head. And if you still don't hear him, he will crash you into a brick wall to get you to listen to that message. And don't let yourself have to crash into the brick wall. Tune yourself to listen to those whispers. And unfortunately, Lynn, I feel like a lot of girls are throwing bricks against your head. And you need to maybe take this reality show. And a lot of times reality shows are good because they force you to look at your life.
Yes.
And so maybe, just...
Maybe this is the purpose of Game of Crowns.
And to your point, there's a proverbs that says that pride comes before the downfall of a person. And so when you have so much pride that you can never actually see that you're wrong or that there's a change that needs to be made, like you said, like you're gonna crash so hard that you're gonna be like, dang, I really wish I would have paid attention in all those years before when God was giving me signs.
Yeah.
So,
right.
so yeah, if you just like let your pride down and you're like, oh, let me fix this, let me fix that. Okay, I need to, redo this or reconcile. Then you could avoid a lot of
Sure.
And by humbling yourself, because I think the problem is that, which we've all been there, where you get defensive.
Yeah.
If someone's saying
Right.
you were not a good friend this way, it's very easy to get defensive and be like, well, she wasn't being a good friend either.
Yeah.
And then to
What about what she did? What
Yeah,
about what she said?
and well, I said it
Yeah.
because of this, and this is the reason why, and try
It
to
doesn't
get out
matter
of
what
it.
the reason why is. What matters is your friend feels hurt,
Absolutely.
and you just need to like say you're sorry.
Right. Fess up.
So
Because
right.
at the end of the day, that's all we can control, right? Like, we can't
Exactly.
control what other people, what they do, and if they choose to be accountable for what, their part in whatever situation. All we can do is be accountable for ourselves.
Yeah.
Totally.
And even if you don't think you did anything wrong, I've been in situations where I've hurt a friend, totally did not think I did anything wrong, but because I saw the hurt that she was experiencing,
Right.
I then apologized. Even though I didn't understand why, they were hurt, I saw the hurt that they were having, and I was like, that comment was
Because
not
you
meant.
probably didn't intend to hurt the person, but that person might have some kind of trigger
Yeah.
that that was triggered by you and you had no idea. So that's why it's not about being right. It's not about explaining yourself. It's just about placing the friendship higher than your need to be right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Kristen, this show is about women who've been pageant girls all their lives, right? And we're former pageant girls. Would you ever choose, now that you're married, would you ever choose to do a Mrs. Pageant?
And before you answer that, I will tell you their prize packages are apparently fabulous.
Boats,
condo in Mexico, vacations
Cars,
all over the
probably.
world. Yeah, you win big prizes.
You know, I used to be like, no, I would never do a Mrs. Pageant, but I would consider it based on the prize package.
Really?
But I think
you know what? Actually, my first runner-up at Miss USA, South Carolina, Amanda Penninkamp, just won Mrs. Galaxy.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And her crown's about this big.
Wow.
She won the whole thing?
I guess so.
Or for her state? Is she Miss South Carolina Galaxy?
I don't know. I'll have to
Whatever
look on
it
Facebook
is,
again.
she won something.
But she was gorgeous, and I showed it to my boyfriend. I was like, what, should I ever? Because it's kind of like the Shelley thing. Like Shelley says, I won Mrs. America.
Yeah.
I could never compete again because you already hit that peak, and like I have to. Honestly, my pride would get to me if I was Miss USA, and then I went and competed for a Mrs.
USA.
Yellow
Do they have
Paper,
Mrs.?
and then was like runner-up.
Yeah.
Like
that
I would
be
tuck my
hard.
tail between
Well,
my legs.
because
really
you would always, I
hard.
feel like you would always be remembered as that. People would be like, did you know
I
that
beat
Miss
Miss
USA
USA.
2004 lost the Mrs. United States pageant?
I know.
You'd never be able to live that down.
I know.
But it would
People would eat it up.
But it would give you a reason to get your butt in shape because
That's why I think what I would
That's
want to
so
do
true.
it just to get in shape. Because
Yeah.
I've never I just remember I'm like God, like the drive that I had.
gonna say,
to
for
go
You
to
have
the
a reason
gym.
and a deadline.
Exactly.
For those of you watching at home, I was going to say that who have never been in a pageant, I don't think you understand the pressure when you know you're going to be in a bikini and 4-inch heels in front of thousands of people in the audience and millions on TV.
Right.
Like, you do not get a moment of like, I'm just going to watch TV right now. No,
you
want to
make
on
sure
that
you
treadmill.
look good.
Because when you're not working, someone else is.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. I was doing, I don't know about you guys, but like I was that girl totally at the pageant in the because you're there for 2 weeks, right? My pageant was in San Antonio, Texas. When we had downtime, and it de-stressed me too, I would be that girl in the hallway because we weren't allowed to leave our floors.
Yeah.
Doing lunges up and down the hallway because it was the only we could. There was no
wasn't.
gym.
Yeah, we didn't see a gym.
I was the girl who was listening to Enya in the bathtub.
I could totally see that.
With candles lit. As my roommate, Miss Oklahoma, was probably like, "Why is she in the bathtub again?" And I was like, "Oh."
You're like, have you had your shower yet? Because I'm going to be in the tub for a while.
And he's like, I need my time.
I needed to get, for me, mentally where
Yeah.
I was because
Yeah.
the craziness of life and competitions and then being around 51 beauty queens.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure
Personality.
that I could like, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Center yourself.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
get frazzled. So
Sure.
that's where I was in the
And it's
bathtub.
a lot. You got a lot riding on that. And it's, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
And when you're there to win, then
Yeah.
it's not like when you get to the final days, like you're really kicking up the drive. Because
yeah.
some people or some girls like they think that they're going to win, but then they realize like a weekend, maybe I don't want this job. Maybe it is too much because those 2 weeks that you're there is kind of a preview of what your year is going to be like. And I think that, some women realize that they have different priorities. But when you're there and you're like, no, this is what I want, then you really have to stay mentally plugged in.
Yeah. You got to find the fun
Yeah.
in that because you're absolutely right. It's like,
It's a game. It's like a mental game for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mental toughness challenge.
That's right. And you either win or you lose, but it's like you're the only competitor.
Totally,
In
100%.
that mental game.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that you do for the pageant girls that are watching? Any tips? Like some of the things that you did while we all know that Shandi took bubble baths. I worked out. I did a lot of visualization and prayer. I prayed.
I did a ton of prayer,
Yeah.
and I kept a motivational letter that someone had written to me.
Yeah.
And I kept that with me and read it every single day.
I had one from my sister. My older sister wrote me a card because people send flowers and cards and stuff, and she sent me a card that had scripture, and I read that every single day before my visualization.
Mine was a letter from somebody I didn't really know, and I never saw him again.
Oh, that's
Fascinating,
cool.
right?
Yeah.
So how about you, Kristen?
So my fitness technique was I went to Miss USA like 5 pounds underweight. So by the time I was there, I could actually eat.
Oh my gosh.
So I didn't like skimp on any meals, and I didn't like feel pressured to work out. So I think by the time I was on stage, I was like at goal weight.
Oh, how funny.
So then I was able to maintain my energy and like maintain mental clarity throughout the 3 weeks that I was there.
Yeah.
Because you do see girls who don't eat and they start falling off the wagon,
Yeah.
because you lose your energy and all of that. So that was kind of my fitness goal.
Yeah.
And in terms of the mental preparation, which I think is 90% of it, because you get there and there's 50 other girls who are just as beautiful as you. They're all well spoken. They've all been trained in interview. They've all been training in their bodies. So at the end of the day, it comes down to a feeling. I think that the judges get off of you when you step on stage finals night. I think it comes down to the judges feeling comfortable with you. And I think that's how life is too. So yeah, while I was there, it was just.
Well, speaking of that moment, I remember, so I judged you.
Yeah.
And we had the top 5, and we take commercial break, and I have both judges on either side of me. Perez Hilton on one, and Donald Trumpson on the other, and they're both like, I don't know. Like, how do you decide who's going to win? And I said, just wait. Because the girls are going to come up, and they're all going to take their last look, and you get to look at each of the girls in the spotlight. You'll see something in one of their eyes, and you'll know who the winner is. And then you had that twinkle. I was like, told you.
Did you have a feeling? Did you know you were going to win when you were up there?
You know, I had a feeling. I had just like this peace. I was excited, but I was also peaceful. And it was cool for me because Shandi was one of my favorite Miss USAs.
Yeah.
And so when I saw her like down on the judging panel, I was like, oh
my God.
I had like a girl crush. So I kept like looking at her and she was looking at me and I was like,
oh my God. She's giggling.
So then when I met Shandi at the after party, she was like, I picked you to win. And I was like, oh, that's the coolest thing ever.
Oh, that's so cool.
So yeah, it's kind of cool how we are a sisterhood.
Yeah.
And unlike what Game of Crowns shows, like we really are, friends and we're sisters. And so many of us move out to LA after to pursue aspirations in entertainment or whatever it is. But I think that we're all just really supportive of each other, and it's cool to have that lifelong sorority.
You're so right.
Sure.
And it's such a specific, very elite sorority because we have more presidents than we do Miss USAs.
I know.
And so it's
well, what do they say? It's more likely that your son will play in the NFL than you having a daughter that
Compete
wins
on the
Miss
Miss
No,
USA
not wins,
stage.
that competes.
Oh, that competes.
Yeah, because there's only one girl from each state.
Sure. There's
So,
only 51 girls every year that get to compete for this title.
But you're right, though, that we all, it is true. And I, like my boyfriend's always like, do you have any friends that don't have crowns? Because you become this sister.
No.
Because we all know what each other went through to get to that point.
100%.
We know that drive. And then once you reach that place, then it's like awesome to like kind of help your sisters up and to get to the same places that you're in. And that's, I think, why we get so frustrated sometimes watching Game of Crowns, because we want to see that same behavior.
Yeah.
And we want to see that sisterhood and support and loyalty among those friends.
I think a lot of us women who compete in pageants have similar backgrounds and they have similar reasons for competing. I'm blown away by the girls that I've met and the girls I've judged in pageants who have been bullied for being pretty.
Sure.
They're a target because they're beautiful. Or they don't feel like they can have girlfriends because girls won't like them because boys like them. And so a lot of times girls grow up as loners. And so they compete in pageants, number one, because, it's something where their beauty is celebrated. 2, a lot of girls compete to, just to groom and grow their confidence. But I think 3, to have an outlet. A place where they're celebrated and accepted. And so, like you were saying, it is frustrating for us to see girls being catty to each other, because I think the reason we compete is because we have experienced that elsewhere. And I think we find a lot of camaraderie in pageants.
Very
and I have
true.
to say, Leah from the show actually sent us a Facebook message.
That's awesome.
And and she was like, the last show, she's like, it's been haunting me, something you girls said on your after show. And she's like, just about the sisterhood. Because she's like, that's what I thought I was going to show on Game of Crowns. And it's turned into this super dramatic thing. And so, I would love for Leah to be on the show at some point. Maybe
Actually,
she can call in.
Any of the girls, because even Vanassa has written to us on Twitter. So if any of the girls are watching.
Yes, ladies, please hit us up at Pageantology 101 on Twitter, and then it's Pageantology Shandi-Susie on Facebook. You guys send us a message and we'll figure it out and try to get you guys to call in and be guests. That'd be amazing.
But we had fun today. Thank you, Kristen, for being
Thanks,
our
Kristen.
guest.
Come back, yes?
I would love to. Can I tell everyone about my book really quick?
Oh my God, yes, please.
Okay, cool.
And tell everybody where to find you on social
Twitter.
media and stuff
All right.
too. Yes.
So I have an online magazine for women called sheismore.com that talks a lot about what I was talking about tonight with Shandi and Susie, just about empowering girls and your confidence and all that good stuff. And then I've also written a devotional called Rise Up Princess, and it's going to be releasing September 1st on sheismore.com.
And how can they find you on Twitter?
Twitter is Kristen J. Dalton. Instagram is also Kristen J. Dalton. And then I have Twitter and Instagram handles for She Is More.
And She Is More so amazing. I just want to say publicly, we're so proud of you and everything that you're doing. And it's fantastic. We need more Kristen Dalton wolves on this planet.
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Y'all are
Blaze
awesome.
those trails, girl.
Yeah.
And you can find me on Twitter at Shandi Finnessey.
And you can find me at Susie Castillo. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
We'll be back next week.
Yay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.